Acceleron Learning. Life experience accelerated. Coming up, we have Economics of a Spouse. Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Kendall Kirkham. For many people, marriage represents permanent entry into the adult world. For some, this means putting off marriage as long as possible. Others look forward to marriage and begin to seek a partner as soon as they finish school, sometimes even during school. We will divorce ourselves, pun intended, from the emotional benefit of having a spouse and look at the business side of marriage. Much like a business owner deciding that the company needs to invest in equipment, any adult contemplating marriage should think of the acquisition startup, maintenance costs, current income, and future earnings of a potential mate. We are not implying that a spouse is like a piece of equipment. However, marriages have a business component to them, and this is a unit of financial literacy. That said, our job is to give you thought-provoking ideas to analyze the financial aspects of marriage. The average wedding in the United States can cost $20,000 or more, plus an additional $3,500 for a honeymoon. To put this into perspective, $23,500 represents a down payment on a house, payment on existing debt, or a large portion of a college degree. And $23,500 invested at 10% compounded monthly for 40 years is the equivalent of $1.26 million. That's a pretty expensive wedding. But an expensive wedding does not make a marriage any more valid or any less vulnerable to divorce than an inexpensive wedding. In other words, an expensive wedding is not a requirement. Where does all of this money go anyway? The list of the wedding expenses include the reception, photos and video, clothing, flowers and decor, music, tips and taxes, ceremony costs, stationery, rings, gifts for attendants, and transportation. Phew! So how can you decrease wedding costs? Here are some tips on wedding ceremony. Tip number 1 on cutting wedding costs. Avoid wedding season, which is May through October. It's the worst. Avoid wedding season will help cut your wedding costs. If you are set with your date, skip this advice. However, you can still avoid the highest price time at reception halls, which is Saturday at 7 p.m. The reception is about 50% of your total wedding costs, so this could save you a chunk of wedding money. Tip number 2, limit the wedding's guest list. Most catering halls and restaurants charge by the person, so every person is an expense to you. Think carefully about inviting someone you don't know that well to your wedding. Tip number 3, consider a wedding buffet, wedding luncheon, wedding brunch, or a wedding dessert reception instead of a multi-course wedding dinner. Try to strike a balance between number of people and the elaborateness of the meal. If you want a large party, perhaps choosing an earlier time of day will work with your budget. Tip number 4, location, location, location. Local or national parks, as well as your own, your relative, or friend's backyard are low-cost wedding locations. That's a beautiful way of cutting wedding costs. Tip number 5 on cutting wedding costs, flowers and decor. Flowers and decor are 8% of an average wedding cost. You should bond with other brides to share decorating costs at catering halls. Many halls use the same decorations for several brides, but charge the bride individually. So, get to know some other brides-to-be. Also, make sure to use flowers that are in season since they will be cheaper. Avoid Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, and other holidays when flowers are in high demand. Check out local grocery stores since they usually charge significantly less for flowers. You might also consider having the wedding in a garden or an art museum to save on decoration costs altogether. Also, consider doing flowers and decorations yourself.